Have you had a chance to watch Victor Wembanyama play yet?
Wembanyama with the finish.
Yeah, of course. How can you miss him?
Orlando Magic took that his first off.
Yeah, he's like the 2K creator player.
It's incredible, man. Like, I believe in 2045, everybody is going to look like Victor.
Frostbank Center chanted Wemby's name as the Spurs mounted their first preseason win over the Miami Heat on October 13th. Victor Wembanyama on show for the home crowd, displaying his prowess on both ends of the floor. This left not only fans and analysts, but also teammates and opponents in a state of awe. And get used to that, San Antonio, because the league's newest phenom, a long-hyped French teen who stands 7 feet 5 inches tall and doesn't turn 20 until January 4th, is finally here after being taken number 1 by the Spurs in this year's draft. And he is determined to win it all. And it's going to be a lot of fun this year. I mean, for the Spurs. For his opponents, maybe not so much, as some of them have already gotten a taste of what's coming. Thomas Bryant's reaction here just is priceless. You got a Miami Heat center who's a formidable man, 6'10", weighing like 250 pounds, with shoulders about as broad as one can find in the land of giants. And despite his imposing presence, he found himself in a situation where he was made to feel helpless, like a child, after being effortlessly dunked on by Wemby. All Bryant could do was stare at the Heat bench, his face in complete disbelief. It's a sentiment we can all relate to, Thomas. Here's Heat coach Eric Spoelstra, quote, "We've seen the footage, we've read about him, we've heard what everybody said about him, but until you actually see it live in person, there's no real way to describe it." Yeah, that pretty much nails it. And Wembanyama wasn't even showing off that night. He was just enjoying the game. Interestingly though, his pull-up jumper evoked memories of another NBA legend. While the shots from beyond the arc weren't as efficient, but you could tell that the Spurs trust him to take pretty much any shot on the court. That's not all either. He brought the ball up court, showing off his handles as he danced around defenders before draining a mid-range shot as comfortably as any other guard in the league. And it makes sense. I mean, you don't get too far into scouting reports on presumptive number 1 pick Victor Wembanyama before encountering the word unique. And that's an understatement. A terrifyingly agile 7'5" center who dominates the game defensively and can play on or off the ball on offense, this 19-year-old defies conventionality. There's no template for Wembanyama, no obvious historical precursor. Simply, he represents a significant evolution in the game of basketball. And we have witnessed various skills and traits similar to his in the past, but just not all in one package, you know? They were spread out, one at a time, among multiple past and current greats. But the Frenchman combines them all, which is where his one-of-a-kind status comes from. Wembanyama said he had dreamed so much of hearing NBA Commissioner Adam Silver call his name, he had to cry when the moment came. And having played the past 3 seasons in France's LNB Pro A, the country's highest pro level, with the Boulogne-Levallois Metropolitans 92, he led the league in scoring, rebounds, and blocks on his way to becoming the youngest regular season MVP in Pro A history. In 34 regular season games with Mets 92, he averaged 21.6 points, 10.4 rebounds, 2.4 assists, and 3 blocks per game. Today, he's considered the most highly anticipated young talent to join the NBA since LeBron James himself was the number 1 pick in the 2003 draft. And on the 22nd of June, 2023, Wembanyama was selected by the San Antonio Spurs with the first pick overall in the 2023 NBA draft. And upon his recruitment, he hit several milestones. He became the first French player to be drafted with the first overall pick, the second European player to do so following Andrea Bargnani in 2006, and he became just the 3rd Spurs first overall pick ever after David Robinson in 1987 and Tim Duncan in 1997. Both, by the way, had Hall of Fame careers and earned championship rings. And the question now is, will Wembanyama follow in their footsteps and achieve similar success? Well, who can say? But in just 4 preseason games with the San Antonio Spurs, he's already exceeded expectations. poster slams on unsuspecting defenders, spindly little turnaround jump shots, Euro steps from the top of the key, and perhaps the most memorable highlight was when he pulled off a nutmeg dribble between Reggie Bullock's legs that yielded almost nothing, but was still a visibly illogical feat that sent shivers down the spines of NBA defenders everywhere. And perhaps most impressively, the stats are already backing up the craziness. Wembanyama is averaging 20 minutes, scoring 19.2 points, 1.5 assists, grabbing 4.7 rebounds, a steal, and dishing out 2.7 blocks per game. He's shooting 50.9% from field goal range and 31.8% from three-point. Not a phenomenal mark for a center, but pretty good for essentially a 7.5-foot wingspan. Simply put, Wembanyama is here, and he's been dominant already. How many times can you recall a player initiating the offense, getting into a give and go, having a lob thrown to him while his foot is still touching the three-point line, and the possession ends with him dunking the ball? Or how about a guy who's defending his man at the top of the key, completely hyperextend his body to reach into a driving lane while covering about 8 feet of space and get a hand on the ball to force a turnover? Catching high remarks from LeBron James and other NBA superstars, Kevin Durant was also there to deliver his praise for Wemby. Quote, that
type of talent and skill, and it just puts a smile on your face if you play basketball, because the evolution of the game is taking us this far. You know what I'm saying? When we got 7'5" dudes who's able to do everything on the court, So he's inspiring to a lot of people out here.
Now, it's not just his phenomenal skill set for a player of his size and age that pops out to Durant. It's the way he has handled himself throughout the hype. And one specific comment Wembanyama made recently caught the attention of the Nets superstar. A comment about NBA comparisons, a discussion that commonly has Durant's name mentioned above all other players, cemented Wemby's newest fan.
Quote, so he's inspiring to a lot of people out here. I heard a comment, he said, somebody compared him to a few players in the league, and he was like, I think I'll do myself a disservice if I compare myself to one or two players. He wanted to take from everybody. And I thought that was such a profound statement, and made me a big fan of his. So
Durant then stated, the league's really in trouble when he comes in. I want to see how it plays out. Everybody has been excited about his arrival to the league, so we'll see what happens. And you knew the Kevin Durant comparisons were coming, so let's just get straight to it. Even the most skilled, extremely tall ball handlers have an air of vulnerability, let's call it. Their dribbles travel a little high, their control of the rock is a little bit loose, and they're limited when pressured by defenders on the perimeter, or when their first step gets cut off. They need to throw their weight around when going to work in tight spaces. And much like Durant, Wembanyama is more of a high IQ player. And he may have the strides of Giannis, but the slim build, the controlled footwork, crafty angles, that's more KD-like. He can cross up defenders into ultra-long pull-up and sidestep jumpers with the utmost fluidity and use his handle to turn corners, navigate congestion in the lane, and kill opponents with spins and hesitations. Now, peak Durant probably had a quicker first step, but that's where Wemby's stride comes into play. He covers so much ground in so little time, even at slower cadences. Everything he does on the ball feels like it's happening at warp speed. Quote, he's like Kevin Durant mixed with Rudy Gobert, making him a Gen Z Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or Ralph Sampson raised on YouTube videos, Kevin O'Connor wrote regarding Victor. And because of his height, ability to shoot and handle the ball, it's no surprise Wembanyama's getting compared to Durant. The talented prospect even admitted that KD inspires him. And of course, why wouldn't he? He said he looks up to him and tries to apply some of KD's moves into his own game. However, Wembanyama is also a rim protector on the defensive end, who can block shots and rebound, which sees him getting compared to 3-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner and fellow Frenchman Rudy Gobert. The thing that sets the rookie apart, however, is that his shot blocking isn't his only positive, but rather just a piece of his true potential. And in order for Wembanyama to be as impactful as possible, he'll need to hone in on his defensive skill set as well. He'll have to get blocks and apply constant pressure on playmakers down low. Of course, just standing upright will go a long way for him, considering his 7'5" frame. Of course, Gobert would know about Wemby's game as much as anybody. You might have come across the wildly circulated video from 2020 where they squared off in a 2-on-2 matchup. and the French teenager impressively competed with the NBA superstar, leveraging his height advantage even though he was only 7'3" and 16 years old at the time. Wembanyama still gave Gobert bucket after bucket. We've been anticipating Victor's arrival into the NBA for over a year, but now that he's finally here, I think a lot of people are starting to realize that this doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. Never before have we seen an NBA player that can move like this at his size. And even though he's only played a handful of preseason games, we are already getting an idea of just how much trouble he's about to cause for a lot of opponents. The reality is that many teams in the league are uncertain about how to handle him, and they just simply lack the tools to contain his abilities. What's even more scary is that he's already showcasing these skills without having played a single regular season game yet. It just shows you how much potential he has. Can you imagine what he could look like in his third or fourth year in the league? And the answer, of course, is no, you can't. I don't think any human can actually conceptualize that at this point. All we can do is wait and see. If Wembanyama reaches his ultimate ceiling, which could be something like 90% of Rudy Gobert on defense and 80 to 85% of Kevin Durant on offense, he will most certainly go down as an all-time great. Simply put, when he's healthy, it'll be game over for anyone competing against him. That's what Wembanyama is. The combination of height, reach, skill, and IQ has had the NBA drooling and waiting for years. The Spurs won 22 games last season, the third worst season in franchise history, and missed the playoffs for the fourth consecutive season. But the only win that really mattered came in a hotel ballroom in Chicago, when 4 ping pong balls gave the Spurs victory in the draft lottery and the chance to take Wembanyama #1 overall. Now you tell me, you think Wemby is already a special talent deserving of all the hype, or do you feel that people are just overreacting? Now, yes, it's true, the Summer League and preseason don't really mean a whole bunch, but witnessing a 7'5" 19-year-old move on the basketball court with such agility is undeniably impressive. When you analyze his game, it seems to possess a wide range of skills that many current NBA players just simply lack. Teams around the league will have major trouble containing him night in and night out, so I'm definitely interested to see how his first full season goes. Thanks for watching the video. Drop a like, leave your opinions down in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.